Welcome to CAV Radio 2.0. Here are your hosts, Chris Perkins, Mark Cummings, and Jeff Giles.
And he's on the latest season of Ancient Aliens on the History Channel, which I finally got to check out not too long ago. Tim, how's it going, man?
Hey, thank you very much. It's a great pleasure being on CAV tonight.
Yeah, very happy to have you back. We've had people ask when's Tim coming back on.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Actually, it was a week after we had Joseph Farrell on, and yeah, and so like, all right, you had Joseph on, now you got to get Tim back on. So I'm like, okay, so I figured I'd get a hold of you and see if you wanted to come back on, because we'd love talking to you anyway. It's always awesome conversations. Everyone apparently seems to love it. So, hey.
Fantastic. Well, I love Joseph Farrell. I mean, he's always got some interesting things to say every time he's on. Yeah.
It was. I was happy to have him on because obviously, like one of the first people that I got into was Mr. Farrell, and it's cool you've read a bunch of books from someone, and then all of a sudden you get to talk to him and stuff. I don't know. It was a good. I thought it was a good show. I'm pretty sure everyone else did too. But yeah, it was definitely fun. But like I said, people right after, it was like a week after, and oh well, you gonna get Tim back on? Okay, so
no,
get Tim back
never,
on.
never gonna have that asshole.
No, Tim's not coming back on. We can't have Tim back on. But yeah, so how's it going, man? How you been?
Not too bad. Just plugging away every day, trying to get the truth out there to everyone. Anybody who will listen. I mean, I can't guarantee that I know all the truth, but
right.
there's a lot of stuff out there that just seems to be so obvious to a lot of us. That that to other people who are just caught up, in just their day-to-day activities. Get up in the morning, go to work, come home, eat supper, plop down in front of the television, go to bed. I mean, kind of like
that clip you just heard right before you came on. Yes.
Exactly. Yep. These people just have no idea what's really going on out there. None of us really do. I mean, we get glimpses.
And there's times where we think that we know what's going on, but we might not even really know. It's kind of hard to depict.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, and that's the thing about it. I mean, no matter what you're talking about, I mean, a lot of times when you think that maybe you've got your finger on what's going on, then the rules or the game changes, and you're back to square one. I mean, and it's no wonder that the majority of the population doesn't listen and doesn't care. It can be difficult to try to pay attention and care. It's much easier to sit down and watch Dancing with the Stars or or something like that.
American Idol and The Voice. Aren't those the big shows now?
I have no idea.
It's like I have no idea. I really don't know. I don't know, but take my word for it. I know because I see that on Facebook a lot. I know what nights those shows are on because I'll see my news feed I kind of scroll down through, and like people are talking about oh my God, he won or something. You want to comment on it, be like, whatever. I'm not gonna say anything. Do your thing. Do your thing.
Well, and that's I mean, in the your announcement for the show on Facebook talking about mass mind control. I mean, television and programs like that. I mean, that's such a perfect example of mass mind control. I mean, possibly even the people who are producing this stuff have no idea, of the power that they are wielding. Certainly, the advertisers do. People who are trying. I mean, they know what's going on, but I mean, it's the power that's in their hands is just absolutely unbelievable. I mean, religion has nothing over that. They used to say that. Religion was the opiate of the masses, and now it's television, and television's becoming passé too. I mean, I mean, you've got mass media and other forms, Netflix and over your smartphones and God knows what. I mean, it's just constantly evolving.
I don't even watch normal television anymore. If I want to watch something, I can easily find it, right on the internet.
That's preferable, right?
And it is. And people, listen, it's not illegal to stream stuff. You can stream stuff. You just can't download it. So stream all you want, and you're all set.
At this point, it is.
for now, anyway.
In a year or two, if we're still saying that, then we're probably in the safe.
Yeah, it'll probably happen within a year or two. I expect something anyway. Things keep going the way they're going.
I hope not. Maybe at that point it's going to be just. It'll be if we cross that apex, and then it's almost guaranteed that we won't, and a lot of other things. I just hope that it doesn't come, that we can thwart it off, and somehow avoid that sort of war on humanity and society and life.
Well, if it comes to that point, then there will be people who will find ways around it. There always, there always will be. I mean, thank heavens for, the ingenuity of people. I mean, you think about in, the early days of the internet, 5 years ago, when you had. Like Napster,
right.
People, a lot of people don't even, probably remember Napster anymore.
No, but that was huge.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Where was that all my life at that point?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but they quickly found a way to curtail that.
Yeah.
But I mean, once the genie is out of the bottle, you can't shove it back in again. Yeah.
Right.
There's always going to be ways to get around it. Yeah.
Right.
And that's that's the marvelous thing. It's the same thing. People. I hear a lot of people. Naturally, the government and the FCC and trying to come up with ways to put a damper on the internet one way or the other. But even if they do come up with something, then it won't be too long before a couple of kids in the basement, or in a garage, will come up with a way around it. They'll launch satellites using model rockets that'll broadcast the internet. That you'll be able to pick it up with a coffee can with wires around it. Something like that.
A couple oranges.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the way the internet itself has developed. I mean, it basically came about. So universities, could stream information back and forth to each other, or really, I think even further back than that, the military, the military could, have an easy way to get information back and forth. But once people got a hold of it and found out, the marvelous things that they could do with it. I mean, it just boom, took off. It just evolved and evolved, and it just keeps on evolving. I mean, it's just, it fascinates me what's going to come next.
Right.
I mean, 20 years ago, most people, had no concept, of what home computers and the internet would do. 20 years from now, hell, even 10 years from now,
right.
What's going to come out that we're going to be just like, holy Jesus Christ, and our kids will be like, oh, that's what are you talking about?
Exactly. Old news.
And you'll be saying, oh, well, I remember when I was a kid, we had Twitter, and they're like, oh, shut up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. CDs.
Yeah, quit talking about your old-fashioned stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, like Mark said, CDs.
Yeah.
I remember when I was little, man, it was like records, and then,
Yep.
And then they slowly moved to, cassettes and whatever. But I remember when I was little, you had the records. I still have. My mom has a big collection of records, and you know what? You know what I like the most? The vinyl. I just think the sound, something about the sound, and if it's recorded in
you know what's interesting about that?
432.
There might be a health benefit by using vinyls over. It certainly is over.
Definitely.
CDs.
Got to be.
Right.
Got to be.
And
it has to be.
And digital over digital as well. I believe it is the analog version, and it's actually a therapeutic, possibly.
Especially if it's at 432 as opposed to 440.
Right.
Interesting.
And it's not the most targeted type of therapy. I mean, now the technology and the understanding of sound frequency and how it relates to the body is much more, they're precise with it now. And
definitely.
So with bioacoustics, you can, you can find out a lot more than what a doctor can with a blood test. They can, through a sound print, you can, know every drug you've ever taken, and the root cause of health problems.
Right.
So more than any blood tests or all the tests together, it's all in one. Just it comes out the sound. All our health problems are connected frequency-wise to our voice.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, there were people coming up with, basically, rudimentary devices like that back in the 1930s, doing basically the same thing, and they were, quickly squashed, by the FDA. It was considered. Yeah, they were considered quacks. I mean, here were people trying, attempting to play doctors. Using sound waves or light or electromagnetic energy and stuff, and it's like, I guess, you can't have that.
I guess so. That was the beginning, right? And then it has evolved significantly, and
oh yes,
and I feel it has a future, and globalists who would be listening right now and says, not on my watch, or, not while I'm alive, probably, they're all just like, shaking around in their suits or whatever, like, that's not going to happen in my lifetime, whatever, over my dead body, all that crap. Their egos, personas, and limited, perspective is clouding their judgment and reasoning, I think. And,
well, I mean, that's not what's clouding their judgment and reasoning. It's money that's clouding their judgment and resoning. You're talking about billions and billions of dollars.
That's their, their confidence. They need that, because without that, they not only feel insecure, but like they're so competitive, and it's like hierarchy, and it's all about that ego and connected to that. I mean, they wouldn't be able to like live a life and see a life of value in someone who's not making billions of dollars. It's can't remember what comedian, but he said if they woke up one morning and saw themselves, I think it was Chris Rock, with a lesser person's paycheck, they would jump out of a window.
Yeah.
Right, like Oprah compared to, so $200 million compared to someone who's worth a couple billion or a few billion is a huge difference, or even, and especially different than a couple $1 million. So if you have $1 million or a couple $1 million compared to someone who's actually has the power and is holding the funds of that these Federal Reserve and have amassed over the decades, and all the rest of the central banks. Because we're not supposed to know who's connected to that. The people. It's supposed to be private as far as well, at least the Federal Reserve is. That's for certain. So we don't know who exactly who runs it or who owns it. How are they allowed from the start to stay anonymous? From the start, there was no transparency. So it's always been kind of goofy.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean that's that's one of the ways that power is wielded. Through anonymity. If you don't know who the enemy is, how can you fight them? And
sure.
Most people out there. I mean, they. Once again, it's back to this whole not realizing who is out there, pulling the strings. They don't know, they don't care. How the attitude is, well, how ultimately is this going to affect me? It's not. Is it going to bring me more money? Am I going to buy a better car? Or am I going to be able to get a bigger television set? No, it's not. Not realizing, of course, how ultimately, these strings that are being pulled that control us all, keeps us downtrodden, so to speak. It's like a line from the book 1984. If you think about the future, imagine a boot stomping down on a human face forever. And that's even more true now than it was when that book was written in 1948.
Oh yeah.
And that's what most people don't realize. They just they're constantly being kept under heel, and they're happy. They're happy for it. I mean, they don't understand. Yeah,
it's a ride.
True.
A ride of entertainment and good times.
Yeah, very much so. Well, and that's the whole thing about propaganda and mass mind control. I mean, it's like it's like cattle in the field who are being taken care of and fed and almost loved. Till that point where they're carted off to the abattoir and sent down that last walk down the chute before the blow to the head comes.
It's so true. So true.
For most of us, for the majority of the people at least, we don't have to worry about, at least not yet, about dying in some sort of horrible, brutal fashion, unless you would decide that dying in a hospital from various diseases, either directly or indirectly caused by the pharmaceutical industry that's being pumped into our bodies constantly, as a brutal way to go. Fortunately at this point, our society, at least here in the United States, hasn't decided to, whip the entire population into a state of frenzy and arm us all and send us all, over the border into Canada or Mexico or God knows where, to fight to a bloody death for some, a stupid, obscene reason. Right now, our society has decided that, only an elite few have the privilege to do that for us. And you saw how easy it was, though. You think about the second Iraq War, and how, right after 9/11, even though there was no evidence at all that Saddam Hussein had anything to do with 9/11, the propaganda machine started up, and subtly convinced people that somehow Iraq had something to do with it. And most people don't remember that now. Most people remember, maybe, it was the, what was it, the weapons of mass destruction.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And once they didn't find that, then it was, we went in there to bring them democracy. Yay!
Yep, democracy.
Right. Well, because what happened was, like you said, Tim, within days, Bush started pushing it might have been within just a couple weeks, weapons of mass destruction. And then, like you said, then all of a sudden it was that, and then it was democracy, then we need to clean it up, so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Bush administration had a hard-on for invading Iraq as soon as they came into office, and, whether or not 9/11 was an inside job or was allowed to happen or whatever. That's a whole can of worms that that's been hashed over time and time again. I'm not going to dump it out. Again, whether or not that was the case, the opportunity though was well appreciated by the Bush administration.
Have we talked about? I know we've talked about quite a bit on this show, Tim. Have we talked about 9/11 on this show? I don't recall. I don't recall what your.
I don't think I have on your show.
Hey, what's? I have to ask then. What's the? What's your? Was it an inside job? Was it just something they were able to use towards their benefit, or did they actually set it up, or?
Mm-hmm.
Or can you? Will you?
It could actually have been, like a little from column A and a little from column B. It could very well have been a situation where a lot of the people who were involved in it were actually operatives from the CIA, NSA, or God knows where, who. That were cells that had been put into these terrorist organizations, and that's one of the reasons why any official explanation that comes out about 9/11 is so obscured, because nobody is going to admit to saying that our intelligent forces were a part of this, and we couldn't do anything about it because it would blow our covers.
It sounds kind of like what's going on right in Iraq all these years with all the blow up, people blowing themselves up.
Yep.
That had to be orchestrated from, I believe, some CIA operatives of some sort.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Iraq, there was something recent that just came out with Dick Cheney with Halliburton. Did you see that, Tim? Halliburton may pay $500 million to keep Cheney out of prison.
No, I missed that one.
Yeah, there's a report coming out.
Cheney tried spinning the whole story with the Iraq war, and he tried covering up their tracks in a documentary recently released on HBO, and it was entertaining, but you could see that he was just like totally full of crap, and what he was saying was just completely. It was just like completely made up. It felt as though.
Right.
And, last minute not being able to get both sides of Congress, the Senate, to agree on it because of the majority leader, I think Republicans, and Cheney supposedly got a one-on-one chat and lied to him and made him believe that something was going on, that we were going to be nuked. He basically lied and said we were going to be nuked and scared him into submission right then and there. It actually gave him false intelligence to trick them into accepting it. And his rational, the way he tried to explain himself off was that he was that he needed to do as vice president what was best for the country, and he felt that they were actually a threat, and that he was justified in lying to the majority leader in private and deceiving him into convincing the rest of Congress to vote for it.
Huh.
So,
not surprising.
Right in our face, and he admits to it that he actually admits to he lies in this documentary. Just to trick Congress into fucking going to war. It just blows my mind.
Right.
And as it's like he's rubbing it in our faces as he's telling this. In Cheney's own words, it's like he's rubbing it in our faces, and you could see like he's just like getting off on telling us these things. Like this like little suppressed smile he keeps like flashing.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, basically because I mean he's like,
psychopath.
I'm old. What the hell are you going to do? I'm going to be dead soon anyway.
Right.
History has already written itself about me, so I'm just going to come right out and tell you, go ahead, throw me in jail. It's not going to happen. I've got rich friends in Halliburton who will keep me out.
Oh yeah, he's nothing, no worries. And this one moment in the documentary, he goes, "Do you think we wanted to kill millions of people over there, or like all those hundreds of thousands of people?" And, like, as he said that, like, I'm just looking in his face, and I'm like, I really think you get off on it. I think he actually likes it. I think he's just, like, that twisted of like, just an empty shell, a complete act.
Right.
Like autopilot,
Go ahead, Tim.
Well, I was just going to say, think about it. Anybody who strives to put themselves into that kind of position of power has to be a psychopath, as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
They have to be psychotic. There's something not quite right in their brains. There's no empathy.
Yeah, if you wanted to study the mind of a psychotic, watch that documentary. It shows his rise to power. I'm serious. That's right there of what they attain, and
right. Going back to what I was talking about, the original thing that we were talking about with Nigeria. It says Nigeria filed charges against Cheney this week in an investigation of alleged bribery, estimated at $180 million. Prosecutors named both Halliburton and KBR in the charges, as well as 3 European oil and engineering companies, Technip SA, Enespa, and Sapem Construction. So,
yeah, do you see this story? Really, I mean, being blasted out there on the big networks. I mean, is Fox talking about it?
Definitely.
CNN. Tom Brokaw saying.
I definitely did not get that from one of those sites.
And
it's funny you say that because I did actually look around just to see who was reporting on it, and I was not getting anything from any. I expected that anyway, but once in a while I'll just check to see if one of the mainstream media or the old media stations are saying anything about it, and nope, I haven't seen anything. This came from newswatch.us, and I got a couple other good links that this is the one I just came up with when I was trying to find it. I don't know where. It came from somewhere else, but the original report, it might have even been RT. RT might have even reported on it, but that's obviously a given. RT would definitely report on something like that.
Oh yeah.
And that's the thing about RT. It's the thing about RT. You can. I mean, I like RT, but you gotta figure their motives too. You gotta figure that in when you're listening to it. I do like Abby. Abby does a good job with everything, but I can't speak that for everybody. RT now compared to even like a year or two ago, RT might have been a little bit better, but I've noticed I don't go to RT much anymore because I started seeing a lot of stuff from RT that I was just like, what? Are you really reporting that now? Like, you guys are doing so good. What are you doing? But yeah,
that's what happens when you become popular.
Yeah, exactly.
It's unfortunate. It's like we're suppressed to keep it real. And it seems Google, YouTube, Facebook, they do target and mess with algorithms to keep the word from getting out there as much as they possibly can on every level. Like if you just go onto YouTube and start with that, and your videos are good enough, they'll just like take it off of all feeds and everything. It's just the way it seems to work, and they'll flag you from search results on Google, so it's really rough trying to get your foot in the door and keep it legit and stay true to what you originally got involved for.
Well, it's true, and when you try to, if you find yourself flagged like that, you just hit a brick wall. Trying to find out why. I mean, it's just you get automated responses. If you're lucky if you get an automated response. A lot of times it's just no response at all. And that's that's the whole purpose. I mean, most people just get frustrated and give up after a while. Because there's no one to fight. I mean, it's almost like you can't fight a machine. You can't fight an automated message. So it's just like, well, the hell with it. I'm just gonna go and drink beer and forget about it.
Yep, pretty much. That's what happens.
Go back to watching The Voice.
Right.
And a lot of people like the TV on in the background. I can't do it. If it's on, it's going to distract me and possibly put me in a hypnotized or induced coma of some sort. And it's just another distraction. But some people are capable of just having a background sound. But I've heard that there's actually a frequency coming out of the TV, no matter what channel you're on or whatever, that actually induces some sort of like REM sleep, something comparable, borderline, where you become easily suggestible and in that way, and it does seem to do that with a lot of people.
Oh, sure. Well, I mean,
and mind you, also
that for a long time.
Sorry, Tim. And one other point, and that same signal is not on your computer screen. So if you watch your favorite television shows on the internet on your computer monitor, you are not getting that same frequency that's putting you into an inducing REM-like sleep. And
for now,
so that's supposed right for now. Exactly, you're right about that. But that's how it's been. So that's how it's always been with TV. So internet, like Chris was saying earlier, is really great. It frees us from having to use the television, and I like it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, it's been known for a long time that various frequencies on the electromagnetic scale, various frequencies, light patterns, have ways to influence the human mind, either to put them in a hypnotic state, or in a highly suggestible state. Right. And so, I mean, the question is, with television, was this something that just happened to be a happy mistake? That after it was put, after television was put in production, somebody discovered that, hey, look, this is doing this, let's take advantage of it. Or if, after a while someone said, television is capable of doing this, let's start, putting it into production.
Well, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No. It goes. There's many means. It's not just that. It's also like different CDs and ways they're manufactured. All right. Yeah. Well, I guess we'll just take a quick break and go back into it real fast. I think we're on a roll here. I like this. So whatever. It's a fun time.
You think so?
Yeah. So yeah, it's going well.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, we'll be back, everybody. We get to take a quick break. We passed the 10:30 mark, so we'll be back, everyone.
All right.
Looks like a new neighbor is moving in. Good thing I have a fruit basket. How does Hi there, new neighbor. Oh, you're a turd.
No, I'm not a turd. I'm the Affordable Care Act. But you can call me Obamacare.
Obamacare? Oh, well, you look like a turd to me.
Nonsense. I'm one of the finest pieces of legislation ever passed.
Well, okay, if you say so. Welcome to the neighborhood. Oh my, that's good coffee. Hey, what the hell do you think you're doing?
Oh, hey, neighbor. Just taking my dog for a walk.
Well, your dog just took a on my lawn.
Oh, that's not a turd. That's the employer mandate. I'm just going to leave that there until after the midterm elections, okay? Bye, neighbor.
Hey, now just where do you think you're going? That bastard. Come on, Baldy. Time for bed. All right, it's time to sing the bedtime song, Baldy. Time to go to sleep, my little eagle friend. You'll dream about catching salmon at the river's end. I'll dream about catching a big fat grouper instead of Obama raping my... Hey, what's that racket over there?
Happy housewarming ese. Abrazo caronas, marijuana.
Oh, hey, Immigration Bill. Glad you could make it. The Patriot Act is making margaritas. Why don't you come on in?
That son of a bitch. He interrupted our bedtime song, Baldy. All right, time to go to work. That son of a bitch. He blocked my driveway. Interrupting the bedtime song is one thing, but now he's gone too far.
What the did you do, neighbor?
Let's throw down, Charlie Brown.
You think you can tangle with me, old man?
I may be 225 years old, but I'll sure as hell beat the out of you.
Oh, yeah? I'd like to see you try, neighbor. Neighbor.
Oh, God, you damn turd. You got all over me.
If you look over the cliff here, you'll see the largest toilet in the world.
Oh.
Yeah, we've heard of that, honey. Aren't you glad we stopped? Conrad, is that you?
Well, it looks like fate has brought us here, Obamacare.
What do you mean?
Well, you're a turd. It's time you went back to your turd home.
Why do you keep calling me that? I'm not a turd. This is madness.
Madness. This is America!
I got it, Conrad. Ron Paul has rocket shoes? Oh, I knew I should have voted for him.
into CAB Radio 2.0.
And we're back. Hey guys.
Hello.
Good enough break for you?
Everybody, I hope.
I hooked it up with Conrad the Constitution. Last week's special guest that called in while we were on with was it it was last week, right? Yeah, last Thursday.
Yeah.
Who did we have on? Who did we have on last Thursday?
It was 2 shows ago. We had Conrad and the gentleman. Oh, jeez.
Who did we have on? That's awful.
Jesus, isn't that terrible?
Yeah. No. It was awesome. It was.
No, it's terrible.
Okay.
I can't remember it. Just because.
Last show was. Last show was Josie.
It was Josie. And then who was before that?
I don't know. It was an excellent
Tell me
conversation,
quick. Okay, I can't. Yeah,
we had a good time though.
That's kind of funny though that I kind of feel bad. We forgot who our guest was that Thursday night.
Right. 32nd degree.
James.
Thank you.
Yes, sorry.
Yes.
James. Yes, that's right.
James.
Okay.
James.
Whoa, we should. Okay. Well,
there.
Whoa.
James.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, it was an excellent. It was an excellent show. It was like 90 minutes, I believe.
Oh, it was.
We had exiled 32nd degree Freemason. James Robert Wright. Yes. Okay. So anyway,
wow. Okay.
Sorry, Tim. We had to figure that out. That was not gonna stop until we figured it out.
And who was before that? No, I'm just kidding. It was the next 5 minutes.
Now you're screwing shit up because that's asking a lot right now.
Hey, guys, before we go off onto other tangents, I want to tell you during the break I got a instant message from my friend Mike Mott, who's also my co-host on our podcast, The Outer Edge, heard Sunday nights on the PSN radio network.
Okay, yeah.
Plug it, please.
Plug it, that's right. He pointed out that during the Second Iraq War, that 500 metric tons of yellow cake uranium was found in, and I'm going to mangle this word, was it Tuwaitha, Iraq, and removed and was sent to Canada for processing as nuclear fuel by the U.S. Army. He points out that 500 tons could have made a lot of dirty bombs. Says in sarin, VX, and mustard gas were also found in small quantities, which we did know that Hussein did have that because he used various chemical weapons on his own people at various times.
Right.
He says that most was known and observed to have been sent to Syria, a fellow Ba'athist state at the time, and Assad still has it and has been using it.
Wow.
So that's I think that's really interesting.
It is.
Considering that's what we had been talking about earlier,
right,
on how the Bush administration had been using all this as an excuse to go into Iraq, yet there wasn't really a lot of coverage on what was found in the popular media, which I mean they were they were right in there and all for what was going on. Yet when some of this stuff was found, why didn't we hear about it?
Right.
Sure.
I find that really interesting because you would have thought that that would have been that would have been brought out and paraded down the street, like, yes, this confirms, we found it, but not much was said about it.
Well, it kind of tying into all of this, right before break, Tim, you mentioned about television, about whether. Okay, and I remember a quote, and I tried to look it up during the break, and I can't find it. From somebody back when television first started coming out, and they said that it was going to be no good, like television wasn't going to take off, and And then obviously we all know that it took off, and and then some. So like it kind of ties into that, like whether I think like when television first came out, the internet, same idea. Like I don't think they really knew at the time what was really going to happen with it, and they were able to completely control television. I mean, 100%, all of it, which I don't know if they can do with the internet.
Well, I know the presidential election, one of those had a big impact, and Edward Bernays obviously saw the advantage of using it towards their advantage at one point, and maybe it wasn't making them a lot of money. Maybe they didn't care about it making money at first, and their main purpose at first was propaganda. Because you saw recently that national anthem video that they played at the end of the broadcast before midnight, and all the actual propaganda that's right there. I mean, it could have just been because when do they use technology to our advantage? They always use it in the military or against us. And that's like an example of that sound technology that I was talking about, because they have sound weapons now, like the one that was used a couple years ago in Pittsburgh for the G20 summit, and I never thought they'd use it here, at least not that soon. When I first heard about the technology, I did not think they'd use it here that soon. And there are even a few mainstream activists who came in counter with that. I think it's called like LRAD or something. But of that, and it burns the skin and puts you down on your knees and gets you running, basically. And
yeah.
And think about it, if they just upped it a notch, they could just kill everybody if they wanted to with that sound. I mean, sound can do that, but it can also heal. And that information is beyond suppressed. That you can't imagine how suppressed that information is. And my hope is that that's the technology, because that's like beyond Tesla right there. That's like good health. If it's not just in theory or it's actually tested or whatever. So it's just awesome, cool stuff that could benefit people.
Well, yeah, that's just it. I mean, this kind of technology, it can be a double-edged sword. I mean, it can be used to heal or it could be used to kill.
Right.
And that's and unfortunately, any new development in technology is first used by the military to see if it has the potential to be weaponized. It's unfortunately that is a sad fact of our life. I mean, people. You hear a lot of people talking about for the hopeful development of, say, something like anti-gravity. Take for instance the speculation that at one time that the United States government had managed to get a hold of, say, like a crashed extraterrestrial UFO at Roswell or someplace like that, and that they were able to back engineer technology in the form of anti-gravity or whatever. Well, I mean, the first thing that they would go after would be, how could this be used as a weapon? How could we use anti-gravity technology to blow those Ruskies, off the planet, and that sort of thing. So, I mean, if anything like that did come about, it would be weaponized first, and then anything else comes second. That's secondary. And I'm sure like that with television, radio, and we definitely know it's like that with the internet.
and the positive side is completely suppressed. I mean, but if the positive side was allowed and into society, and we were using that, then there are no negative consequences to the positive side. It's not a technology at this point in time. It's not a technology that will accidentally kill a person. But if sound work is being done on someone, it's something that only has positive effects. Mm-hmm. So and that could be a great it would look like a different world. And that would put pharmaceutical companies, the entire medical industry, the entire health insurance industry, the government's involvement in all of that, and all considering Monsanto owns half whatever, Monsanto probably wouldn't even be a threat anymore, because I would think because our sound frequency of what we're made up of is our DNA, and so you would think that it could be fixed, considering it should have no problem fixing our DNA. That's exactly what it's doing. So,
well, unfortunately, that this kind of technology, sound healing, and other variations are available. I mean, there are people out there who are making machines to do this and are selling them, and nobody, for the most part, nobody is really coming and, for the most part, suppressing them or killing them, making them look like a suicide or anything like that. Instead, they use more devastating things against them, ridicule, basically.
Right. And meanwhile, they do actually send people that are higher up in the military to see these people that can do the practitioners.
If you have somebody who has a device that works exceptionally well, then those are going to be the ones that are going to be in the most trouble. They're going to find their bank accounts mysteriously cleaned out, or their credit cards, or they'll be arrested under suspicion of downloading child pornography or anything like that.
Right.
And I also suspect, Tim, that they allow these people to live and just observe from a distance, knowing that they are at least isolated, kind of like what is supposed to happen to Tesla during his early years. They were just letting him do his thing and all his work and in private, and clearly they kept an eye on him.
We talked about Tesla on the show with him. Yeah, absolutely.
So
I've been thinking. I've thought about him 3 or 4 times as we've been talking tonight. Like, this is Tesla.
That research is going to be allowed. They're going to let that happen until they figure out the way to reverse aging. Because imagine that day, right?
Oh, it wouldn't surprise me if they haven't already come up with that.
Right.
A lot of the things that we talk about, speculate about, that you read in popular magazines as well, this is the future. This is what's going to happen. This is it's like, somebody already has that now. It's if you're talking about it now, somebody already has it, because there are certain factions that are 50, 75 years ahead in scientific development and technology than the civilian population. I mean, if you're reading about things like that in a speculation, it's
and
somebody.
It is out in the open, dude. And it's like isolated with the criticism and insults, kind of like you said, quacks and all that, and conspiracy theories. That just sounds like science fiction. I mean, that is obviously impossible. That's impossible, and obviously they're just it's like the placebo effect they're going to assume, or maybe I'm just getting it wrong, or that's just too far. I don't know. I know that people in the medical field would be very much interested in that sort of, and people who have severe health problems. Because when I had perfect health when I was younger, I didn't care. Even though I heard of it, you have no need for technology or to even look into it unless you or someone very, very close to you suffers in that way. And,
Exactly. And a lot of these people, who are developing these devices, I mean, they're forced to sell them, say, in fringe ads in fringe publications that only a very small factor of the population, reads or would even consider, attempting to buy. Occasionally, you'll somebody will attempt to step outside of that margin, so to speak, and but they'll soon find themselves, kicked back in.
It's allowed because it's a small magazine, like you said, and they allow it because it opens up for ridicule. It just the people who are looking to criticize the critics or whatever, and who aren't very open-minded, they're going to see that and say, oh, well, come on, if there was a cure like that, then it would have been all over the news and
exactly.
Blah, blah, blah. And my doctor wouldn't be telling me it's BS, and he wouldn't be laughing at it. And because you go to your doctor and you ask him about any modality that is not offered through their insurance policy, most of the time, and they're opening up to vitamins and nutrition now, but if you get, they're just going, not even that, like very rare, if you have a doctor who's actually cool with vitamins or alternatives, they'll try to get you to spend the most money you can. It just seems to be the way, and they're not very educated, and they are, there was a meme actually I posted the other day that's spot on about this, and I have it here. I happen to be on my Facebook right now. So, okay, here we go. I started off, I said, the doctors in their peer-reviewed journals. That was the title I gave the meme. And it says, modern education, creating people who are smart enough to accurately repeat what they're told and follow orders, and dumb enough to think this makes them smarter than everybody else. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Exactly. It's got a girl holding up her diploma with a big smile on her face, so.
I like that a lot.
That's a good one.
All right. Hey guys, we're gonna go ahead and take a quick break at the top of the hour here. So we'll be right back.
All right, excellent.
We'll be back, everyone.
Yep.
Talk about a wake-up call. I was paying for all the doctor's visits, insurance premiums, and medical costs out of pocket. All these expenses were keeping me from living the carefree lifestyle that I wanted. Then the government told me about Obamacare. Now with Obamacare, I don't worry about my health care. I eat whatever I want, whenever I want. I get all my prescription drugs for free, and there's no more coverage gap. I no longer need to worry about pre-existing conditions. We can see any doctor whenever we want for any reason, and so can everyone else.
Obamacare is not for everyone, like Congressman. If you are already healthy, do not use Obamacare, as you will see your premiums go up. If you are a sick person, do not use Obamacare, as you will see your premiums go up. Many people on Obamacare may experience longer wait times and fewer doctors, and denial of your treatment of choice. If you are faced with a healthcare situation, you may be denied treatment through government rationing.
Obamacare even covers my kids up to age 26.
If you experience a recession lasting more than 4 years, stop taking Obamacare and contact a travel agent to move to the Bahamas or New Zealand.
And the best thing is that Obamacare is free.
Obamacare is not free. Obamacare will increase the national debt by $863 billion in 10 years. Your taxes will go up $569 billion by 2019. If you see a major jump in your premiums, you should opt out of Obamacare immediately. Opting out of Obamacare is illegal and will incur major fines and penalties unless you are a union member who received a special waiver from the Obama administration. Obama is not responsible for the negative effects on the economy, your pocketbook, your freedoms, or your health.
Obama solved all my problems.
Obamacare. Live your carefree lifestyle.
You're listening to CAB Radio 2.0.
Hey, we're back.
All right.
Me and Mark are just like messaging each other over here. It's kind of funny. If you guys only knew the stuff we talked about, you guys would you'd probably get a kick out of it.
Right.
Actually, it was nothing bad this time. Nothing bad.
No, not at all. Not this time.
Anyway,
So
so yeah.
To cover something that we got caught off from earlier, we were talking about the TV frequencies and then the CD frequencies. They change over time, and each time they change, I don't know if they mean it, like Tim said, like if it's intentional, but every time it's something else, and it can cause a different problem in the population. And you see correlations in charts of certain diseases rising with these frequencies. And this is information that doing research of the sound technology has actually discovered. So, and I'm certain I brought stuff up like this before. Like one of the most interesting things that I tell people that I've heard before of this is if you see a person in an abused relationship, the person who's doing say that the guy is abusing his girlfriend, and the girl keeps going back to the guy, and all her friends think, why do you like the guy? He's a total jerk. He does nothing for you, and he just beats you. And she's like addicted to the guy. And they found that by giving her the sound that she was missing, made her completely lose interest in the guy, like instantly, never care to be around him again. And it always correlates to a sound that the guy, her boyfriend, has. So they would test couples, and they would actually see that this guy has a sound that she doesn't have. And so she's unknowingly addicted to his sound and has to be around it. And that's just one of the many interesting. And I think she said 3 out of 4 relationships that are abusive is because the girl is missing a sound that the guy has. And of course, that doesn't always mean it's abusive. You can be around a good guy who doesn't beat you, who's very nice, and he's like the perfect person, and he also has a sound that you're missing. So it works both ways. That's just an example. Right. So yeah, there's a lot of cool little tidbits that way, and.
Well, I mean, considering that, you know, the human brain, I mean, is basically, you know, an electrical device. You know, it makes sense that it can be influenced by other factors from the electromagnetic spectrum.
Right.
And you know, the question is, you know, it's like we had just discussed, you know, before, whether or not this is being done deliberately, or if it, you know, started up by accident and you know, somebody discovered that, you know, they could do this, or if it is just, you know, just kind of a big cluster.
Right. And it's most definitely supposedly intentional, or at least it's used to that purpose now that they know. But like I heard, of course, most people have heard of HAARP having some sort of similar capability of inducing like a frequency over the whole planet, and just, or even directing it to entire populations and portions in different whatever countries they want. And
sure.
Yeah, on all levels, way more advanced than what a television can do.
Which I don't know if you heard that recently, I guess the military has decided that they're going to dismantle HAARP.
They're going to shut them down.
Right.
Yeah. You know,
so they say.
So
right,
they say.
right.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
That just means that they've got a better operation someplace else.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
That's all it means.
They have another operation going on. Yeah. I was just going to say that.
That's like them shutting, if they were going to shut down Guantanamo Bay, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or assassinate Obama. Same BS that we're fed to keep us sedated and
what
like,
are they
like
going to do?
Like wag the dog. You don't
No,
give the public,
before that.
Or assassinate Osama bin Laden.
Oh, okay.
You know, it's like did I say Obama?
Yes, you did.
Yes, you
I always
did.
mix
You
them up.
definitely
I'm sorry. I always mix Osama bin Laden. Listen to it. Osama bin Laden sounds like Obama, and I'm thinking when I say terrorist.
What are you racist now?
What? No, it's just.
What do you mean? Sounds alike?
Well, I just attributed because now you're giving me a hard time. All right. All right, I'm not falling for it. I'm
sorry. You said that on air.
Right. That is funny. Good.
I'm gonna cut just that part out of this entire show. And I'm just gonna repeat it everywhere.
No. What have I gotten myself into?
That and your address that you gave us earlier.
Yeah. Oh man. No, I'm not gonna go the way of Conrad. Conrad the Constitution.
Oh yeah, no, I get
it. Conrad.
But yeah, I mean, back what we were saying, talking about the Harper Ray, if they're dismantling it, that means that they have come up with a better, probably smaller version, or versions, plural, someplace else.
Right. Right.
I mean,
it's a certainty.
Yeah, well, I mean, the United States is not the only country.
Right, there's supposedly 7. Yeah, and this oligarch certainly controls more than just America, and
Israel.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. What?
Well, and I'm not gonna say you're not lying there because that's very true. and beyond for sure, because if you look at it like the central banks, how much territory do they have, and operate? And
sure.
Their reach goes far beyond Israel, right?
Well, I mean, there's been a lot of speculation, and this has been going on for a while now, that you don't even need ground arrays to do stuff like that. That everything can be miniaturized and put into satellites, and all this stuff's over our heads now, beaming down God knows what.
Right.
Yeah. Either mind control, mind manipulation, population control, or even just as far as the big snoopy eyes in the skies that can see practically anything and everything. Yeah.
Right. And, the amount of footage they're able to get from the surface and all the details and one thing I did catch on the television was a show called Person of Interest, and they're trying to basically make popular the idea of NSA surveillance and having cameras everywhere and having all our movements and even body language tracked. And it's an interesting show because it does make it look like a good idea. Well, I'll tell you the plot of the show real fast. Is this crazy technology, the NSA, the hacker who originally built it, the programmer who built it, worked for them, and then he left, and he was so rich because he had his own, business or whatever, and he just did it for free for the government. And before he left, he got access to the social security numbers of whenever a person makes an imprint. If a citizen makes an imprint that means into the system, and the NSA recognizes them, and their name comes up, it's because something bad is going to happen to them, or they're going to do something bad. And of course, the NSA would know the details, but since he's not hired by them and he's kind of like living off the grid and under fake names, that's all he has access is a backdoor to the social security numbers. So that's the premise of the show. So each episode, his hired the guy who he's hired to do the detective work and follow these people, they go around and attempt to eavesdrop on the person and try to get a feel if they're good or bad, and half the time they're wrong. You think they're good, they're actually the bad guy. But the reason the NSA throws it off and discards most people's Social Security numbers is because it's not for terrorists. It's not going to. It has nothing to do with national security, and our Fourth Amendment and Fifth Amendment right protects us from that sort of privacy invasion. So the system is built to automatically discard anything that's not national security. That's the catch, supposedly. But of course, we know there's most likely much more sinister reasons behind it, and all that is being cataloged. So it's a half-truth. It's basically a lie. And that show is a form of propaganda, basically, that convinces people it conditions us to accept that sort of security state. And it makes me think that possibly Snowden really is. That show in particular got me thinking this all seems too much. The timing of Snowden coming out and saying what he said and then having that person of interest show, it just seems like we're completely being conditioned to accept it. Because I see that show and I'm thinking the government should use this on everybody so they can prevent all sorts of crimes. It would be like Minority Report, thought crimes.
Wait, what show?
Person of interest. So it's kind of like it's a modern, more realistic version of Minority Report, really, and it's creepy that way, and it can condition a person and make them think, well, the government should have these powers because I want to be protected, and that looks really secure.
Okay.
That's the impression. Because these systems, they read body language and facial expressions, and they can tell if someone's angry or they're going to kill someone, the rage in the person, or assassinate someone. The rage is, it's all in the facial expression, so that can pick up that sort of and screwy transactions, all stuff. So yeah.
I get a question, Tim. And I might have asked you this before on a previous show, but what's your take on Edward Snowden? Because we had a guest on that last week that he says he's not even real, right? Like he's like a complete made up personality to just
digital creation. Yeah, like that's a little bit. I can't see it being too hard to find a corrupt actor who would play the part. That I would get. I'd be more like, because why would they go through the trouble? I mean, could they have that technology?
Money. Yeah. Money talks, man.
I think that he is probably a real person. And it could have been a situation where this was somebody that that the government or the intelligence services deliberately set up to see if they would take the bait. That he was allowed access to information, whether it's true or not, or possibly disinformation. A little bit of it's true, a lot of it isn't, but it sounds true.
Right.
Knowing that he had the type of personality that would, goody two shoes or righteous type of personality,
maybe
knowing that
people.
that he would take it and flee with it and try to reveal it to the public, all for their own purposes, for whatever that would be. In this day and age, I really find it difficult to believe that somebody could actually do what Snowden managed to do, escape the country with very sensitive information and live to the point where they would be able to reveal this stuff to the press.
Bring this stuff to the table. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So highly possible then.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that. I don't think that just a normal person would be capable of doing this unless he was allowed to, and I mean without his knowledge. I think that he really does think that he managed to get away with it, and I think he's a patsy, in my opinion. Some of the stuff.
And I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. Not even knowing that he's a patsy.
Right. Like I said, some of the information that he was able to get a hold of, some of it's true, most of it isn't, but it sounds true. And by doing this, the whatever intelligence services are involved in this process, they can learn an awful lot from other countries that take this information and run with it or attempt to run with it, corporations,
any organization,
right.
Any organization, anywhere.
Yes.
Sure.
It's. I think it's all probably a very, very clever intelligence scenario to get more intelligence. You saw the same thing. You saw the same thing happen in the late 1970s and early 1980s using the UFO community. You had people who came out and said that, say Area 51 is has UFOs with aliens there and things like that, right. Knowing very well that you would get intelligence agents from other countries, Russia, China, things like that, who would disguise themselves as UFO investigators to try to get close to these places,
right.
Not to look for UFOs, but to be looking for black budget, projects, like the stealth fighters, and things like that. And that's, that was a very clever way to get these guys, on the surface, so to speak, and to discover who was really interested in this kind of stuff from other countries. And an awful lot was learned, and some very dangerous people were also, from other countries, are also captured by the United States. That took the bait, so to speak. So I mean, I think maybe you're seeing a similar type of operation going on with the whole Snowden affair.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, that all makes sense too.
That's an interesting perspective.
Right.
I like these new theories and takes.
It
does. It adds to the complexity or possibilities, and it really does. I was under the impression that he was like a hero and all that at first, and then after seeing it, it's like, are we being played?
See, that's why I like everybody's
right.
input.
This perspective,
on this stuff.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It makes it that much more unacceptable.
Yep, absolutely.
Tired.
It makes you wonder that much more.
Right. Somebody like that, if you really did manage to get that kind of sensitive information out of the country along with himself, it doesn't matter where he would go. I mean, even Russia, he would be dead in no time. Yeah.
Of course he would.
Right.
Russia, he wouldn't have made it out of the country. And that's the one thing that I keep going back to is, and actually it was a friend of mine that pointed it out, is maybe it's like the conspiracy within the conspiracy, and it's just kind of like, it's like, is it that mind-boggling at times? Is it that, like, in-depth? And, well, you have to wonder.
Yeah, well, it's like those Russian nesting dolls, that, there's a doll inside of another doll, inside of another doll, inside of another doll. It's the same kind of situation. I mean, you keep pulling the cover off, and there's another one inside, and you just keep going down and down and down and down and down. And I mean, maybe there's no ending to it all. Maybe like you said, a conspiracy within a conspiracy within a conspiracy.
Right. Where does it end? Where does the rabbit hole actually end?
And that's kind of going along with what we were talking about with the exiled Freemason and the levels of the higher up you go. It's like it would be a different type of clique in the center, and their world is completely different from the world of the people in the lower levels, I would imagine, and the stuff they talk about and go through. And,
exactly.
At the least, at the minimum, and that's not like on a spiritual level what they go through. But
It's like that also when people and politicians talk about the government, the evil government, and and how the government is our enemy. Our country is great, but our government sucks. It's just like, but actually, I mean, it's. Again, it's like the nesting dolls. I mean, the government that everybody is talking about is just the surface layer of something that goes down much deeper than anybody would even conceive about. I mean, when people think about the government, they think about our elected officials. Our elected officials are just the scum that float to the top of the pond.
Absolutely.
What really is the power and influence is down so deep that it's basically inconceivable.
Right.
Unknowable. I think probably unknowable to most of us.
So Tim, do you think the dispute between the Russian government and the American government is it like an act? Or, I mean, okay, here's the better question: are they two competing factions that want control, but they both want the same end results, basically to enslave the populations to their own advantage? And humanity is going to be in chains either way, no matter which side wins. So if that's the case, would they be able to protect Snowden if they wanted to keep him around to taunt the USA? Is that a possible scenario, or would more likely be that they are working together and it's controlled opposition and they really are working 100% together and it's all just staged?
I do think that for the most part, okay. Let me take a step back. You were talking about the eventual world control of everybody and the one world government and all of that. That's already happened. That happened a long time ago. All this talk about the New World Order and the Illuminati and the control of humanity, that happened a long time ago. We are already under control. The whole thing about separate nations and all that. I mean, that's just again, that's part of the conspiracy within the conspiracy within the conspiracy. I mean, the peons, the population and the elected officials and people like that. I mean, they think that they're in control of their governments and have their little fights and battles and what have you. But there is already established, a control, a worldwide control that, it's not a perfect. Go ahead.
I don't mean to stop you, but I mean, it can't be completely finished yet. It can't really be like, complete control, where just completely
it's
one world communism yet. There just can't be.
No. It can never be. It can never ever be complete like you're thinking. Complete. Humanity. The way people are. I mean, it's just.
Sure.
Unless you microchipped everybody, or had like the Hypnotoad. Manipulate everybody through the television 24 hours a day. No, I mean it's as perfect as it's going to be, which is not really, but it's as close as it's going to come, unless like I said, unless you just try to bring in the military over the entire planet and control everyone that way, which really that's an impossibility. You'd never be able to do that. But for all intents and purposes, I think that the world is already, under control by an elite group.
Right.
I absolutely know they are. And we have to go into our last break for the night, and I'd like to get right back to this because I believe they're kind of in the fourth quarter of things. That's like what I like to say. It's like we're in the fourth quarter of the New World Order.
I get the feeling
like the finishing stages. of it.
Right. Yep.
You know, but we do have to take a quick break before we get back to this, but that's I definitely think we're on the same page here.
Sure, I have to agree. All right.
So let's take a quick break and we'll come right back. Fucking ants on me.
Edward Snowden, the man behind the National Security Agency leaks, just sat down with NBC's Brian Williams for his first interview on American television. NBC announced Thursday Williams' interview with Snowden would air during an hour-long primetime special next week. The segment will also include an interview with Glenn Greenwald, one of the journalists responsible for publishing the leaks. Snowden has been hiding out in Moscow ever since his revelations about the NSA sparked a nationwide debate about government surveillance last year. The former NSA contractor has made several media appearances since fleeing the country, including a recent virtual talk at South by Southwest. But Snowden hasn't done an interview with an American broadcaster until now, and his status as an exile in Russia means access to Snowden is heavily guarded. So how did NBC get the scoop? The key might have been Greenwald, who has a close relationship with both Snowden and NBC. The journalist has done several interviews with NBC and has even produced a few pieces for the network on the NSA leaks. Greenwald has kept in close contact with Snowden since publishing the leaks. The two recently appeared together in a photo taken in Moscow. What's more, the Washington Post's Eric Wimple notes NBC has a collaboration agreement with Greenwald's current employer, First Look Media, which lets them both benefit from sharing big national security stories. First Look and Greenwald harvest the heavy investment of a mainstream news outlet in the whole Snowden-based oeuvre. NBC News, for its part, gets documents and a legitimate reason to use the most illegitimate word in television, exclusive. The interview will air at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on May 28th. For Newsy, I'm Christian Bryant.
You're listening to CAB Radio 2.0.
You get that ant problem taken care of, Mark?
I think I got it.
I don't know if any of the listeners heard that, but I heard that. I didn't get to mute you before you said that. I just heard something about an ant. Yeah.
I said right before I got muted. There was this one
laughing.
ant. It was running down my arm, and I was like, "Oh, it's a fucking ant."
That's what I heard. I was like,
yeah.
I didn't even get to go to the break before you said that, so I'm like, oh, everybody heard that. Well, I guess it's this show, so I guess it's okay. But hey, that's funny. That's entertainment right there.
There you go. That's real life.
That's it. It's not an ant, you know. It's a drone.
Yeah.
It's nanotechnology at its best there.
It might have been.
It could
I've
be.
been watching out for the dildo drone.
Did you smash that thing? Did you smash that thing?
Of course I did.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Well, did you? Yeah. Well, you know, just saying.
Oh yeah.
Just saying.
It's fucking done.
We see like little like mosquitoes flying through the air, like little like maybe not mosquitoes. That might be a little too small, but
my wife swears to God. I told you about it, Chris. It was probably a year ago.
I knew you were going to say this.
Yep. She swears on everything that they were, bigger than a mosquito, or biggest bug she's ever seen, but smaller than a bird, and they were just hovering around. I don't know. I mean, shit, nobody knows us, But
where is this? That's interesting.
This is where I live up in
Maine.
Maine. Yeah, in the middle of Maine. And this was a year ago.
Literally in the heart of Maine.
Yeah, and she swears to me, and she's told me all kinds of stuff throughout the years. She's, my phone's blinking, and I'm like, honey, come on. I put the pieces together, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe her phone is blinking. Maybe there's some drones around here. I don't know. I just, it's that you just don't know. You just don't know. I know this, crazy shit going on. So, because I'm always the one that I always am the one that says, no, we gotta, you research it. I don't care if I see it with my own eyes. Nope. I gotta look into it. I gotta research it. I gotta, I don't know.
That's the way it should be too. I mean, don't
absolutely.
Don't accept what is being said to you without looking into it yourself. Make your own decision. Too many people out there are all too willing to accept what is being told to them by authority figures. Put that in quotation marks. Whether it be government officials or talking heads on television. It must be true. They told me so.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, before you make that decision, why don't you look into it yourself? Yeah. And then you can make it an informed decision. Yeah.
There's a difference between an informed and uninformed decision. It's a huge difference.
Yeah. But for a lot of people, that requires effort. So it's not going to be done.
People don't want to give that effort. It's so hard. It's so hard.
It is.
It's tough. It's really tough. That's a tough life. That's a tough life, guys. Can you imagine?
Well, the way that I look at it is, it's like it is a tough life until something grabs at you. Until there's a reason to, go after it or, feel compelled to do something. Obviously it's not that tough, but, it actually becomes tough once you feel compelled to do something. But, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? To just, live in, I don't know, the fairyland, the fairy tale. Fairyland, the fairy tale that we...
There's the fairyland and there's the fairy tale land. So, straighten that out.
Right.
I actually, yeah.
The purpose.
Sorry, I had to say that. I'm sorry.
As long as it fulfills the purpose of
wait, I gotta stop. Is Fairyland, is that My Little Ponies? Did I get My Little Ponies mixed up with... That's Fairyland, isn't it? I'm sorry, I got a little daughter.
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, that's funny. And I don't let her watch television either, but we do watch the movies.
What's that My Little Pony stuff that you sent me not too long ago?
Oh, that was no.
What is that, dude? No, but now that you brought that up, I kind of want to know what that is.
Oh.
Bronies?
No,
bronies? What is it?
Bronies. Oh, bronies.
Yeah.
Oh, the bronies. Oh, okay. I thought it was something different. Oh, okay. The brony thing, yeah.
Bronies, man.
Absolutely.
No, for real, what's that? What is that? What? Yeah.
Okay. The bronies. It's adult people that are just in love with My Little Ponies.
Oh.
And they're called bronies, and
I
mean they're devoted to it. They love it. I mean, they dedicate their lives to this shit. No, this is true. They're called bronies. Look it up. I'm not even kidding you.
I think Tim knows what it is.
Oh yeah. I've
Do you really?
About that. Yeah, I've heard about it. I've never watched
it.
No, actually, I have a 7-year-old daughter, and she watched it for a while.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Sure.
I don't understand the appeal.
Okay, like my youngest child, who's a girl, is almost 5. And she likes My Little Ponies, and we watch the movies, and we watch, the shows, and we watch, tons of movies and shows. But somewhere along the lines, I found bronies. And Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, these are adult folks. They're adult people, right? And they, obsess about the show My Little Ponies.
Putting Tim on the spot here.
Yeah. I mean, they buy
Tell me if I'm wrong.
backpacks and nope, you're right. They buy the backpacks and collect all the paraphernalia. And, I mean, they're just really into it. I don't know why.
Is there some sort of motive to this, or is it just some weird thing going on? I kind of want to know now that we brought it up. I actually want to know. It kind of creeps me out.
Well, it actually somebody made a documentary about it in it was like 2012 called Bronies, the Extremely Unexpected Adult Fans of My Little Pony.
Actually, I think I saw that on YouTube when Mark showed it to me. I think that was the documentary that came up, and I did not watch it.
I actually haven't. Wow. I have no idea about this. I'm actually going to have to go and watch it.
People put that on YouTube, and they make money off it too. They totally make money off that too, don't they? They do.
Yeah. Well, it probably got to start, from like 4chan or something like that.
Yes. Yep.
Well, photo boards like that, and it just took off from there for God knows what reason.
I can tell you what reasons. I can tell you they're unemployed, overweight, fucking just degenerates that just have nothing better to do.
Mark just wants to talk shit, so he's just
I'm just going to talk. I'm just going to start talking some shit now. But I mean, really though, bronies, come on.
No, I totally agree. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Why?
I mean, you'll tell. If people can tell me there's something wrong with me and my 9/11 conspiracies and blah 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 blah. Then,
I can probably tell you a few things that are wrong with your 9/11 conspiracies, but I mean, we can probably come to some compromise.
Yeah, you question everything.
I'm just messing. Mark, I'm just messing.
No, I know, obviously. Bronies, I'm done talking. That's it. I can't stand that. I mean, isn't there something better than you can do with your time? I mean, I'd rather look up.
Oh yeah, sure. You could watch Sailor Moon cartoons.
Or you could
anything. Anything.
Sailor Moon. I haven't heard that for a long time. But it's the truth.
Yeah. Anything. Absolute anything. Oh, too funny though.
I'm glad you brought it up though, because you know what? I think it is a big deal to bring that stuff up. If you're listening and if you watch that stuff, you guys, come on.
You stop that.
We're just trying to. We're respectfully trying to help you, and if like we said, if you need some relationship or anything on those matters, me and Mark will help you out, because we're You
don't want to use the word
everyone. No, yeah, I was being sarcastic. That was a total joke. I thought everyone would catch it, but yeah. Whatever.
It just goes to show you though that there's something out there for everyone.
No, there is. There definitely is. Oh, there is.
But I don't know. I don't know if the original creators of My Little Ponies, which I think was probably came out in the 1980s or something like that.
It was in the 80s. It was the 80s. So yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they ever expected to develop a fan base like that. 20-year-old guys living in their basements.
Right.
Best
I highly
episode
doubt it.
ever.
Yeah.
They probably definitely. I'm sorry. They probably definitely did not expect bronies.
And I mean, you could speculate. Is this some kind of that's mind control experiments that we were talking about earlier?
Right.
Are they?
Could be. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Are they embedding some kind of?
I guarantee Disney
signal
is.
Oh, Disney definitely is.
Oh, we know Disney is.
We know Disney. We know Disney.
We know it
that
is.
in there. We know it
right.
is. We watched it.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't even let my son watch certain things. And if I do, that's the thing I love about my son. I can when I see this stuff, I actually tell him about it. I don't care if anybody thinks that's a bad thing. If you think that it's a bad thing, that I'm telling my son, my almost 6-year-old son, that I'm pointing this stuff out in these movies and stuff like that. And the thing that I love about it is he understands it. And it's not like I'm just telling him something and he's like, no, he actually understands it, and I love it because my son is going to be 6 years old in a couple months, and he's 5, and I can totally talk about this stuff, and I love it because he understands it, and I've been talking to him about it for the past couple of years and stuff, and he absolutely he's got some sort of grip on what's going on right now, and I'm just trying to, I'm not going to be like a jerk about it or anything. I'm trying to do it like I think I should, but whatever.
Right. No, I think that's excellent because
yeah.
Cool.
I'm not gonna I'm not gonna point him towards other stuff. I'm trying to get him on the right track. Whatever you want to call it.
It's being honest and showing that you can have a different perspective and see deeper into things, and
he
everything
picks it up now. You have to understand. I see my son pick that up.
Right.
It's the best feeling. No, it's the
Yeah.
best feeling in the world because he picks it up without me saying something to him.
That's awesome.
And it's a really good feeling because he's not even 6 yet, and he's picking this up. And that's what we need to do. We need to get our kids.
Right.
If you got kids, or even if you have little kids, your cousins or your nephews, nieces, whatever, get them into it.
He's going to be completely into all the sciences and
yes, he is.
Math and everything.
Listen.
Yeah.
He's way the fuck ahead of everything. He's way
way
ahead of everything
right now. Makes you
want
to pay attention.
Yeah, and he knows what's going on, and that's what I love about it. I can see here, it's pretty cool because I've sat here with my 5-year-old son and watched movies that he maybe shouldn't be watching, but he does watch with me. I'm being responsible about it. Obviously, I'm not but I'm making my own judgment on it, which is how people should be. Make your own judgment. You're a parent, so it's your kid, so make your own judgment on it. But yeah, I mean, for real though, he understands stuff now, and it's really cool because I can sit there and talk with not even a 6-year-old about stuff that I talk about, and it's actually it's kind of cool that I've taught him about stuff, and he's picking it up now, and he's, like I said, he's not 6, and he's still picking it up, and I love it, and that's what I think people should do. If you got kids, you got to talk to them. Don't do what our parents did. I'm not trying to knock. I'm not trying to knock on our parents or anything, but I think that whole generation kind of fucked up, and they made it's not even funny. It's just like
no,
I mean,
I agree.
Right, they definitely they kind of messed up, and not everybody messed up, but our parents messed up. I know there's a lot of people in that generation that didn't mess up. Like Tim did mess up. So, I mean, see, it can happen. But I'm just trying to say, like, there's a lot of parents like me and Mark, and Jeff's not a parent yet, but someday he might be. And we're still looking. We're still looking out for everybody, and we just want people to know. And we're going to keep bringing this show and bringing everything we can, and let future parents and even people that aren't parents know. Like, you know, just let them know what's going on, what we can talk about. Let's get this out in the air, and that's why we got people like me and Jeff and Mark and Tim Swartz, because we're going to let you know what's going on. So, yeah.
Try to, at least.
Yeah, well, we're going to do what we can for you guys to, you know, listen and hear what we got to say. And we're going to help people like Tim, who actually busts his ass for, you know, every day in his life to just, you know, books, whatever. He goes on Ancient Aliens. He gets a couple clips on Ancient Aliens, and, you know, he gets to talk, and that's good, because when we got people like Tim that are doing that, man, it's benefiting the world, the entire world. I don't care what anyone says. That's extremely beneficial.
Grassroots up, man.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
The only way to do it.
Yep,
that's right. It is. You know, it's just, you know, a bunch of small voices crying out in the night, but, you know, those small voices combine together, you know, to become a big voice that gets, you know, heard by everyone, hopefully, eventually. You know, you just got to hope that eventually people will listen. You know, you got to hope that they'll open their ears and try and pay attention. You know, but sometimes it can be frustrating. You know, because it just seems like more and more.
It does. It's like it's building on. It's like adding up. But we do what we can. Tim, do we not do what we can to, you know?
We do what we can. Every day we do what we can.
we do.
But you know, like I said, you know, I mean, it only works when people listen. I mean, you know, you can talk till your tongue falls out, but if nobody's listening to you, you know, and that's the key there is, you know, how do you get people to listen? You know, how do you get people to pay attention?
Right.
I don't know. No, I mean, you don't have the big corporate backers, you know. Thank heavens, because you know, you'd be selling your soul.
We'll never do that.
Right.
We'll never do that.
Yeah.
We will literally listen. We're good. We're not going to give in. We're not going to give in. We promise we're not going to give in. No, but for real, and that's the thing about that, you know, and, you know, we run into some issues here and there, but that's because me and Mark are running this stuff by ourselves. So we've had offers. We've had offers from radio networks and stuff, and we've, at this point, turned them down. I have. It's my decision at this point, because everyone's like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, actually, Mark and Jeff know what I'm talking about, and we've actually turned it down because we want to do it on our own, and even the offers that we've got, they're good offers, but we're just...
You got to do it 100% on your own, and I know you two put a lot of work in this, and are always sharing, promoting, and working on it on the side, and you know...
So someday.
Right. So,
I mean, we got...
Thank heavens that you are, too, you know.
Yeah.
Organizing forces behind this show, so
And that's why we like having people like Tim Swartz on, because, you know, he knows what he's talking about, and we know people want to hear him, so yeah.
That's for sure.
Well, I hope so. I mean, you know, I was happy to hear that, you know, you said people were asking to have me.
Oh yeah,
Tim,
definitely.
Tim, I must say thank you, because I don't too often learn something new other than what's on the news and keeping up with each other's lives. And but I mean, guests are all interesting, each one of them, and their perspective and the way they approach the problems of the world and the solutions they offer. But it's not too often where I learn of new theories, come up with new, and so like new information that I haven't contemplated yet. And there's a whole lot.
So
of
why I like to have Tim on, because Tim Tim has it together. So it's great. It's great to have Tim on. It really is, Tim. He's like, oh yeah, woo.
No, I do. I appreciate you hearing that, and I always like to say that, I talk about stuff that makes you go,
Yes, well, that's what we like, and I know that the listeners like that. So I mean, it pretty much when we need someone to come on and talk about like anything like this, like we talked about tonight, aliens or whatever. Like Tim is really the man to have on, and I'm glad that I got like hooked up with Tim, because I'm pretty sure like the first time that I got a hold of Tim, I was trying to get a hold of Timothy Green Buckley.
Yeah, Tim Beckley. Yeah.
How was Tim Beckley doing? How was he doing? Because I remember the first time we talked, you were like he wasn't doing good. So
he is doing better. The last time that we talked, I mean, he was in the process of getting a pacemaker put in.
Right.
And but he had that put in, and his health has improved substantially. He's able to get out, again. Before that time, I mean, he could, he was having trouble walking, breathing, things like that, and now he's doing a whole lot better, and putting out more books as we sit here and speak.
Awesome. That's good. That's great. So
it really is, yeah. So I mean, Beckley's kind of like Nick Redford. I mean, Beckley would come up with a new book, like every week or so.
For sure, yeah, and so someday we would like to get Timothy and you on the show. Tim, hey, Tim and Tim.
Tim, that's right. the Tim and Tim show.
The Tim and that would be, that would be actually pretty interesting to get you and Tim on the show. No, that is cool though, because I remember just trying to get a hold of Tim, and I got a hold of you, and I'm like, all right, well, so we'll just have you come on, because and it just all worked out. So I'm appreciative of that, because I don't know, that's just me. I'm appreciative. I get to talk to Tim Swartz, and then it worked out great for me, because I'm impressed. I'll just say that. We'll leave it at that. I'm impressed. So it's great to have you. It is. It is great to have you on. So I mean, someday we're working stuff out here. We're still going through some kinks here at CAV Radio, but you're one of our all-stars, Tim. So.
Well, always happy to be on CAV Radio, and anytime you want me back, just ask.
Yeah.
I'll always make time for you.
For sure, and we know that because you say that. So. So that's good for that's good for me. But thank you, Tim.
Yeah, thanks, sir. Thanks a lot.
My pleasure.
All right, Tim. Take care.
Have a good night, bud.
You as well.
You too.
Sweet. Great.
Could you guys hear like a dog in the background?
No, I didn't. We lost Mark.
Okay, cool. Okay. Yeah,
we definitely lost Mark, though.
What happened to him? Was he on his cell phone?
I don't know what happened to Mark. Yeah, he couldn't get back on. I think he got kicked off. I don't know what happened.
Is it past the 3-hour mark?
Yeah. We're past it like 3 minutes. So.
Oh, Mark.
Yeah, I know. He can't call back in.
Well, that's a bummer.
Well,
you can
whatever.
always put your if you're on Skype, you could put it on speakerphone, or through your speakers, and just there shouldn't be an echo if you're just using your speakers to talk and listen and record or whatever your computer.
Mark will probably go to sleep at this point.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. It's
But we did see that shit. That shit with Brian Williams got the first American Snowden interview.
Right. How about that? Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. That's actually big news right now. That's the biggest news. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? That
would
Thursday night. Brian Williams, NBC exclusive with Edward Snowden. Then that's what makes me kind of think. It makes me kind of think. You got the whole connection with NBC. How you doing that?
Right.
Which was what I brought up earlier. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's just why we're like, oh, what's going on with Edward Snowden, that shady motherfucker, you know? Something's going on, dude. There's no fucking way that no. I'm sorry.
Right.
There's no way. There's no way.
Yeah, and I think I'm real suspicious after seeing Person of Interest.
After that,
I wouldn't.
And you say that, and
he's an innocent. I think he's innocent.
But
unknowingly.
But
being used, right?
But these questions, yeah. I'm not even sold on Greenwald. I'm not sold on him.
Right. How
Absolutely
can you be?
not sold on Greenwald, dude. He can say all he wants. I'm not sold on him. It's going to take a lot to get me sold on that one person. Like Tim said, between anyone, anyone that's involved, anything can happen. Any story can come out. I don't know. I'm looking at this picture right now with Brian Williams and with fucking Snowden, and I'm like, how did this happen? How dude, this is. I don't know. Should we save it for the next show, or?
Well, if anybody's listened to
we don't have enough time to actually touch on it, but yeah, so.
Right. Yeah, and exactly. And last shout out, I should have said this sometime at the beginning of the show. You got the March Against Monsanto. It's going on in every city or whatever, most of the larger cities. And go to that event on Saturday. Support. Everyone gets 5 minutes to speak if you have something to say. So go say something, and let your voice be heard, and give it a shot. And it's a lot of fun. You get the worst. You can do it. The adrenaline takes over. You'll get loud. You'll just go at it. Have fun. And be safe and whatever. And participate, I guess. It's a free event. You go there. They have a rally, and you get to listen to people speak. You hang out. You meet some people. Do your thing. There you go. Learn a few things too as well.
Yeah, exactly.
All the new information gets thrown up there, and it's very important for your own health, but for future generations and possibly all society. We don't know the long-term effects. We haven't been under these consuming these GMO products for only a few decades, a couple decades, 2, maybe 3 decades. And so we still have another 40 or 50, 60 years before an impact or something could happen as far as we know. And that's the concern, really, long-term effects. And the impact is happening on the planet and the honeybees, and it's not just the food, it's the spraying of pesticides, chemicals, and like it was said earlier, the passing on of these plants and their seeds onto up to 100 miles distance, and polluting and destroying the crops, and like Terminator seeds and plants that die off, like that they make themselves sterile after one generation. And that's what our animals and we are consuming, and to what end? And is it necessary? No, it's just a monopoly, a corporate monopoly, in the same sense that I want to say global warming is. I think we do make an impact on the atmosphere, but I think it's all changing. It's all 100% coming and to and from the sun. And I think it goes deeper than that as far as the sun's impact in our lives. It's not just the weather that it impacts. I do think there's some sort of connection from us to that, and it responds to our thoughts in a sense, and can even send back. I would think, like very much in communication with.
Right.
They can have a relationship like that, and all things. So. And it's like a real peace of mind right there.
For sure. Yeah. More guy.
All right, man. Tell Mark to say good night and a good show.
I will yell up to him. He's messaging me right now. He's like, whatever. Well, it's not our fault. It ain't gonna.
And wife and kids, yes, all's well, and you as well, Chris. And to Tim, it was a good night. And
have a good night,
week,
Jeff.
You too.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Tuesday. You know what? I don't even know what we got going on for next week, but I will announce it on the Facebook page.
Okay, and maybe even take Tuesday off, because I'm considering maybe making some of these into videos, just getting them out there.
Yeah, no Tuesday off, because we have, I'm booked. Actually, Mike Rivero is Tuesday night.
Okay, all right.
So we're going to rock some shit, dude. We're going to rock.
All right, man, I'll be there.
We're going to get right into the Gold Reserve and all that stuff. Everything that he talks about on the History Channel, on, what's that show? America's Book of Secrets.
Okay, good.
We have Mike Rivero, who is actually a normal guest that we have on here, but he's actually on that show on the History Channel. So
all right.
We have another guest from the History Channel, and he did not make his name from the History Channel, but they brought him on there because he knows his shit. And so we're going to talk about the gold reserves and the shit that we talk about with Michael Rivero. You can find him at whatreallyhappened.com, and all the shit's there. So he's got a show Monday through Friday. Check it out. We will have him on Tuesday, and we have some some big guests coming up, but I'm not going to tell you guys because I don't feel like it. And but Jeff has an idea of the next guest coming on, and are they not good? Am I wrong?
No, it's legit. Yeah, 100% good.
I just
known by all.
Gerald Salente. So that's So we're gonna create that.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of people, a lot of good people.
So we do. The next month is actually going to be insane. I can tell you that right now. I'm gonna.
It's gonna be excellent. It's gonna be a treat for everybody.
We're gonna rock. Yeah. We're gonna rock it out. So we have some big guests for the next month, but stay tuned for the rest of the month because we definitely have a couple awesome guests on.
We'll get right to it too next time, Tuesday. We have to get right to it.
Exactly. So Facebook.com/CitizensAV. And just go to that. Go to the Facebook page. I'll update you for what we got going on.
Click on follow, like, whatever.
Yeah.
And make sure.
Yeah.
If you like a few posts, you'll be sure to see them in your updates. If you interact and engage with it, they'll show up in your feeds.
Right.
And so you'll get to keep up to date with whatever new good stuff comes out.
Right.
So. All right.
Y'all got it.
It's been a good show. Good night.
Good night to you, Jeff.
You too.
Good night to everybody else.
Be safe. Have a safe Labor Day weekend.
Peace.